Welcome to Blackstone Book Talks, a podcast featuring exclusive interviews from Blackstone's bookish network of authors, narrators, and special guests.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Promises, Parenthood, and Everything in Between, our latest Blackstone Book Talks panel. My name is Bella Bedoya, and I'm thrilled to introduce two authors whose recent releases have been shaking up the literary community, Adiba Nelson and Kwan. Writing about disability inclusion and her life as a Black mother, woman, and daughter, Adiba is the author of Ain't That a Mother, a 2022 top pick by Bustle, Shondaland, Essence, and more. Featured in Vibe, Entertainment Weekly, and Time Magazine, Kwan is a multiple literary award winner and the best-selling author of over 30 titles, including his latest 2022 release, Promise Broken, a top pick by Urban Reviews and Booklist. So first off, welcome, Kwan and Adiba. Hello, hello. I want to congratulate you both on the recent launches and success of your novels. It's been so exciting to build this marketing plan and see it come from the ground up, and it's been so fun to work with you. I'm a huge fan of both your stories, the way that you are candid with your audience. You guys are the best. So this is, thank you for being here. How has motherhood and fatherhood affected your sense of identity and also the crafting of both of these novels?
So for me, I really dug my heels in to make sure that I had an identity outside of motherhood. Once I became a mother, I wasn't expecting to become a mother. I really tried hard not to become a mother. But then once I actually became a mother, there's just not a great connection. But even so, once my daughter and I found our way, I was still very adamant about I have an identity outside of motherhood. You know, I have things that I like to do. I'm a whole human being. So I think it just kind of cemented for me more that I don't let this be my whole entire world. How about you, Kwan?
I think for me, especially with Promise, the whole fatherhood aspect, because this is the first time, and I've written a lot of books, but this is the first time that I went in this direction. And when I say in this direction, I mean like a young girl who's struggling with like inclusion in the peer pressure of being a teenager. Because my kids, like when I started writing, my kids I had one daughter and my youngest daughter wasn't born yet. So and I'm looking like the pressures of social media and being a teenager and this and that. So I wanted to explore a character that was going through some of the things, because I'm like the fly on the wall father, meaning whether you talk to me or not, I kind of know what's going on.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just kind of like put that out there, like, hey, I see you. I see you. This is my way of saying, like, young girls, it's not all about this, is it? I see you. I understand. Even as a male and as a dad, I understand what's going on with you in your life.
Do you think when you were writing Promise Broken, did you feel kind of like you were writing, because it almost feels like a love letter to daughters everywhere.
It is in a sense. And in the craziest story, like, I don't know if you ever read, like, Blackstone asked me to do a letter to the readers when I did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you have to understand, like, at the time when I started writing Promise, we were just like kind of coming out of the pandemic. My daughter's mom had just died. My dad had just died. Like, it was like, you remember in Life, when the inmate asked Eddie Murphy to read the letter that his family sent him, he was like,
yeah,
Mama dead, Daddy dead.
Yes.
Died too.
Yeah.
So that's where I was with it.
Oh, wow.
And I was laying there and I laid in that bed for so many days, and life is still going on. The kids are doing online schooling. And I'm just like, what's happening in the world? And one day it was just like, you're not doing nobody no good laying here.
Right.
The little girls is about to go to college. The little girls is about to go to school. They need you. You got to get up. You have to do something. And so me, a lot of times the way I articulate whatever's going on with me, I don't talk to people. I write about it.
Okay.
So, and that was the thing with Promise. Like, that was my way of saying, like, young women, I see you. I see you. I understand. You know, so I kind of just that pulled me out of it, because it was a pivotal time. It was my daughter, my oldest daughter was about to go all the way to college. And you have to understand, like in the succession of the way these things happen, her mom died, right? And it was like we were just starting senior year. It was September of her senior year. Mm-hmm. And my oldest daughter's always lived with her mom. I've always been an active father. I've always been in the life. Like, I'm not a Christmas and birthday dad. I'm the soccer dad. So her mom died. And I was the one who, when I got the call at like 5 a.m, had to go there before she woke up for school and tell her, hey, and she's like, well, why are you here at 7 o'clock in the morning? Like, it's not a weekend. Like,
right.
I told you, her mom died, and I took her to see to the morgue and stuff like that. And so it's like trying to kind of like pick up where her mom left off. And again, like I said, I've always been an active dad, but when you have a woman that's doing everything, the day-to-day stuff, and you know, sometimes you overcommit yourself to it. So I went through that, and I was finally kind of trying to get that worked out and get her off to college. And then my dad died. Oh, wow. Right. So then I'm like, what the? And so it was just a series of unfortunate events that that drove me into a dark place. Mm-hmm. And I kind of just got up like, this ain't you. This ain't you. You can't be here. So promise, and it came from a place of despair, like laying at the bottom of a well, and you see the light at the top, but you just have to will yourself to get up and crawl to it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And what? So you said that the idea of like, girls, I see you. Mm-hmm. Your daughter's mom had just died. Were you thinking kind of like what sort of things your daughter might be thinking about or going through as she's dealing with the death of her mom? Is that what kind of influenced?
Again, I have two daughters. So you have one daughter where her mom just died and all of these things are going on. But then you have my youngest daughter who has always been in the 2-parent home in the suburbs. So kind of looking at it from both perspectives. And it made me like say like have it, even though I took my own, I think I've been a great father. But you don't know, because it's different with a girl as opposed to raising a boy. It's different. So you can sometimes cause friction where you're just trying to be loving. So, you know, you start thinking about these things like, have I been a good father? Have I done enough? Have I done this? Have I done that? And so I stopped talking to myself and just paying attention and listening.
See, I always just ask my daughter flat out. I put her on the spot. I'm like, am I a good mom? And because she thinks she's real funny, she's like, no. And I'm like, really?
They always do that. They always do that. The little kids are trash like that. Kids are trash like that. But there's
trash. Absolute trash.
But you know, and the great part about it is you're a woman. Your daughter can open up to you. My daughters, it was like we had that really awkward period. Like, and I think it came when my daughters got older and understood, like, oh, my dad is just not a writer. My dad been through some things.
But I don't think necessarily me being a woman means that.
No, when I said that, I mean because you guys have a different bond. There's ways that my wife can talk to my daughters. There's like that those lines of communication are not open to me.
I see what you're saying.
Because I'm just the ogre who wants to beat up every boyfriend and just. And that's what I meant when I said that. Like, there's just different lines of communication that are open to you, and I wish that, you know, and for as loving and as caring as I am, there's nothing like getting that game from a woman when you're a young girl. A woman who you look at and you see is doing all the right things. So getting that game from a woman who you see is doing all the right things, you respect it differently from your father, who is just a little rough around the edges.
Is it the same for sons? I don't have a son. I think I would have had a son, but is it the same for sons getting that from your mother per se?
I think, and just speaking for like when I grew up, my mom was my hero, right? Okay. She did everything. And the defining moment in my life with my mother was I had a bike that I used to like to ride. And my mom, the elevators weren't working. We lived in the projects. Elevators wasn't working one day. So my mom had to carry the bike up and down the stairs for me to ride. And I'm looking, I said, Mom, you are so strong. And she said, boy, your mother can do anything. And I'm a little kid, you know, really get it and see. I didn't get that until I was older. So for as strong as my mother was, and for all the right track she tried to put me on, she wasn't a man. So I'm gonna take what you're saying, but I'm gonna still get out here and do what it is.
Yeah. That's when your mom was you weren't raised by a single parent. You were raised by both your mom and your dad.
Yeah, I was raised by I came up in the crack era. So
okay.
you know what that is. Like my mom was on drugs, my dad was on drugs, but my mother raised me and then my aunt raised me. So I was like kind of just moved around a lot.
How do they feel about the books that you write now?
Huh? I'm sorry, what'd you say?
How do they feel about the books you write?
My mom isn't here, my auntie isn't here.
Oh, okay.
So the people who pushed me the hardest to do all this, then they weren't. My aunt saw it for a little while, but they're not here.
Right.
They're not here. So, but the things that, and again, this is why your book jumped out to me, because the things you instilled and are still instilling in your daughter were like, that's the gospel. And that's why I was like, that was everything. Every time you had like a powerful part in the book and you told your daughter something, I said, that's the gospel. Because I was raised by women who the men didn't stick around. They kind of had to do it. And I'm a dude. I'm a hard-headed dude. I come from a hard line of just idiots. I come from a hard line of idiots.
Knuckleheads, huh?
So, but with them, and I think that contributed to me being a decent girl dad. I don't want to say I'm a great girl dad, but a decent girl dad. Okay. So I know, like, my book is about, like, I always call it my hilarious romp through motherhood, through the comedy of errors I call motherhood. But my mom plays a fairly prominent role throughout the book. She does. And my mom, she's this little feisty Puerto Rican woman. And it was funny because the one thing, like, she read the book and she didn't say a whole lot about the chapters that she's kind of featured in, which, I don't want to say I tell her business, but I talk about. You do spill her tea. You spill her tea.
I mean, I spill a little tea, but it's in the context of understanding decisions that I've made better.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
The one thing that she was most concerned about was that people would. I guess she thinks that there's like some worldwide minister role. And because she didn't finish her minister training, she stopped right before she took the test, which I didn't know. I thought she became a full-fledged minister. So her big fear was that there was like some worldwide minister role and people would look her up to see if she was really a minister or not.
You know what? People with too much free time on their hands, they might.
I said, Mom, out of all the things that are in this book, I don't know if that's the one thing someone's going to focus on.
You know what's something that stood out to me in the book too? I think your mom, your mom was who she was. She was always that authority figure, because we all scared of our mamas. But she kind of gave you enough leeway to make your own mistakes. We were still there to catch you. Yeah.
My mom was famous for saying, I just need you to think I'm a little bit crazy.
And you have to.
You
have to keep that healthy fear of your parent in you.
Yeah, and it was a healthy fear. Like I spent all of junior high grounded because that fear hadn't quite set in. So I was definitely testing my limits, seeing what I could get away with. Going places and not telling her and not coming home because my little white friends could do it. I heard a lot of that. Well, I'm not your little friends. I'm not your little friend's parents. I don't care about that. But she was so strict that when I got to high school, I wasn't allowed to go to high school parties at all. And when I finally did get to go, it was prom night of my senior year. And I got trashed because I'd never been to a party before. And then I got in trouble because I got trashed. And so when I went to the graduation party, no one would give me a beer because they all knew who my mom was. And
they knew your mom was going to turn up. Yeah.
Oh, yep. So I was like, maybe that. And so now with my daughter, I kind of ease up a little bit. Like she's 13, so she's not drinking and she's not going to parties or anything like that. And I mean, parties are happening, but I'm like, no. You're 13. You got time. But I'm not as hard on her as my mom was on me.
Because you know why? Because sometimes, and me and my wife were just having a conversation about this maybe 3 days ago. And I was like, because my oldest daughter, I gave her hell.
Did you?
Just being overprotected because I didn't know any better. My youngest daughter, not so much. But it's like, I let them, I keep a watchful eye on them, but I let them hang out. I let them have friends. I let them have a social life. I let them find their own identities because I don't want to keep them sheltered. And then when you finally let them out, it's like, ah!
Which is what I did. I went to college the first time. I went twice.
Me too. I went twice too. Yeah.
Yeah. And the first time I just partied myself right on out. I was like, oh, I have some freedom. Let me expand all the things. Yeah,
because the school is not calling your house when you miss class in college.
Oh,
like, you paying
they got some money. They don't care. So, but I know. So here's another thing I wanted to ask you about, because you talked a little bit about who your parents were, right? How they lived their life. And I talk in my book about who my parents were a little bit. I don't think I really get into like who my dad was. But I definitely talk about like,
Not really. You didn't too much.
No, not too much. That's another book. But I talk about like my mom, my maternal and paternal grandparents, my daughter's father, and this idea of generational trauma, generational curses, and not wanting to repeat the same mistakes of the women that came before me, and inevitably doing it anyway. How does that, because I know there's a little bit of that in your book, in Promise Broken. Tell me a little bit about that and how your own life influences that line through your book.
Well, like I said, growing up, I came up in the crack era. My dad did what he did. My mom did what she did, when she was still, able to hold that family structure together. So, like, my whole thing was, there was only one friend, like out of all my friend groups, there was only one friend that he came up in like a 2-parent household. So at a certain time, because we used to play in the hallway in the projects.
Right.
So at a certain time, your mother secret has a door. Yo, come eat dinner.
Right.
What? Y'all eat dinner together as a family? You're a Martian. So, and just seeing like things that I didn't have and things that I felt denied. Because me and my dad had the type of relationship. My dad can still put me on 10 in my 30s. We had a conversation, and it was the Super Bowl Sunday, and my wife found me outside crying and furious in my 30s because of something that he had said to me.
Yeah.
Even though like I ain't never really rocked with him, the fact that you were still able to take me there in my 30s, I'm like, I'm gonna kill this thing.
Yeah.
I always wanted to be the dad to where my daughters were like, that's my daddy.
Mm-hmm.
That's my daddy. I went to my oldest daughter's school one time. And again, I've always been an active father, but the school and all that stuff, what did my mom do? I'm running around, I'm trying to get this money doing the books. So I go to the school, like a field trip one day, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not your dad. And they were like, her what? And I said, what do you think? What do you think little black girls grow out of cabbage patches?
Oh, wow.
And she was like, no, I didn't mean no disrespect. It's just that I never met you. I just always thought it was no, it's not just your mom, it's us. We are firm believers in family dynamics because of the fact that I didn't have the family dynamic growing up.
Right.
So that was my whole get down with that.
Right. No, I think that's important. I'm glad that you kind of pointed that out to her. Like, what do you mean you don't think she has a dad?
And God bless the young lady's heart. It was a reflex reaction because all the time they just always say their mom. And I'm like, field trip, soccer dad shorts and all that. Hey, what's up? And And they're like, what? And I'm like, no, for real. She didn't come out of a Cabbage Patch. We really procreated and made her.
Are you the parent you thought you would be?
No, not at all. Because like how I grew up, like the women were always the pillars of the family dynamic, and the men just were kind of just left to do whatever it is that they were going to do. And so with me and my daughters, like my wife will tell you, if she's upstairs right now, my wife will tell you, like I was there for all the births. I'm at the schools. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm the chaperone. I am the soccer dad. Soccer dad. I am like my. It's like the life that I lived and I work to show my daughters is so different than how I actually came up. So this is why, like, I may take my daughters. Let's say if we go back to the neighborhood to visit my grandma or whatever, and I know the guys in the hood, and my daughters are looking like, Daddy, you know the gangsters. I'm like, yo, these are my people. Like, it wasn't always this. I just kind of worked hard to try to give you something that I didn't have. I wanted to, like, and I'm sorry, and I got a million stories. My daughter was telling her friend about McDonald's. Why McDonald's? She's off McDonald's. And she said, because my dad was a dad that my dad, my stepmom, like when I asked for McDonald's, they never told me it was food in the house. They bought me McDonald's. So it's like just little changes, like trying to break generational curses like that, little changes. And it doesn't have to be like you being wealthy and super, but just little things that you could not have. Make sure your children have. Right.
I think for me, I'm definitely not the mom I thought I would be. I think because I grew up in a single parent household with just me and my mom, and she worked sometimes 2 and 3 jobs to keep a roof over our heads and food on the table. I really wanted like that Susie Q stay at home homemaker mom, right? And that's who my aunt was. And so I always thought I would be like my aunt. Like, I'm going to be like that. I'm going to bake cookies and cupcakes, and all the neighborhood kids are going to come over, have dinner ready every night. The kid, like, we're all going to eat together, like the whole shebang. I am so not that mom. I can't bake, for one. Like, I can't. I don't like baking. I almost kind of sort of like other people's kids. But not enough to have them in my house all the time. I'm not the PTA mom. I've never been to a PTA meeting. Like, I'm just not the mom I thought I would be. I've never been to one. I think I'm the mom I'm supposed to be for my kid, though.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm not, like, I go to her cheer practices because I want to make sure that the cheer coaches, know how to integrate her into the squad. And they've done fantastic jobs. So now I just kind of go hang out, watch, get to know the other little girls and whatnot. But I'm not like, I don't know.
I think, you know what, like you said, I think we are meant to be the parents that we're supposed to be, because I would have never in a million years saw myself chaperoning like field trips, and I'm talking to the moms and I'm bringing dishes, and but that is so not who I am. But it's little girls like, Daddy, and such that, but that's not who I am. I'm like, I came up so hard, I came up so rough, I came up so freaking poor. So, and I'm happy to do these things. I'm happy to make the meals. I'm happy to attend these events. Because it's like, shit, nobody never did this for me.
I thought I would be. I really thought I would be. Not so much.
But again, like, it's like you said, you are the parent you're supposed to be.
I am.
There is no, how do you say? There's no blueprint to what you should be, to what constitutes being a great mother or a great father. You are who you are supposed to be. If your child feels loved and your child is provided for and your child is happy, that is the parent you're supposed to be.
And we're going to talk about that in a second, but we have a question. Corey, thanks for the question, Corey. He says, Did your perception of who you'd become as a parent change after finishing your novel?
Was that I don't you know what? I think me, if you know how to read between the lines, it did. Because Promise Broken is so much different. In the book that I put out before that was Animal 5. The books are like polar opposites.
Really?
So I think that if you've been reading my stuff for a while and you know my work, then you see the shift. You see, like, you know what? Somebody showed him something, or he's seen something.
Okay. I think for me, yes, in the sense that before I finished my book, I didn't realize, I was still trying to be the parent that I thought I was supposed to be, even though that just was not who I was. I was still longing to be that parent. It wasn't until after I finished it and then went through and read my edits and everything that I realized that I'm not that parent, but I'm the mom I'm supposed to be. Like so on the inside cover of the book, I don't think you got the hardcover copy.
Why not? No, I don't have the cover. I have the trade paperback.
Okay, so in the hardcover, there's some other photos. So like there's this photo.
Oh, look at you. Look at you slaying. Go ahead.
But this was like an ode to like that Susie Q mom.
Yeah, Betty Crocker.
Right, but like the pie is on fire because that's literally my life. Like I'm trying to be like all cute and perfect and shit just going up in flames. Like I can't, like I'm not that mom. And then like on the back, there's this. I'm like,
you were showing off. You were showing off.
I gotta let them know.
And that reminds me of the beginning of the book, but go ahead.
Well, so the whole scene, I'm actually in a kiddie pool. And I'm trying to be like cute and glamorous, like, because I'm still trying to be like that, not just the mom, like not Susie Q. Like I want to be cute and glamorous and Beyonce, but I'm stuck in this kiddie pool and I'm on the phone and I got a juice box, not a martini. Like this dynamic of like mom's trying to be great and we're still like stuck in this mom mode. But that's more so who I am, is like trying to be glamorous in the kiddie pool than Susie Q.
Listen, it happens. You know, we try to fit in as we get older and we just date ourselves even more.
Yes. And you talked about a little bit ago about, you know, this this idea of like there's no rules to being like to motherhood or to fatherhood. And that's one of the reasons why I talked about so many taboo things in Ain't That a Mother? Because as mothers, and I don't know if any of the people watching this are moms, but maybe dads experience this too. As mothers, you are supposed to, according to society, feel a certain way as soon as your kid is born. You're supposed to act a certain way when you're a mother. You're supposed to say certain things and look a certain way and not talk about certain things and never admit to this thing, that thing, and the other. And then you add culture and race and religion on top of all of that. And I don't know if dads experience this, but in the world of motherhood, it feels like we're just living under like an iron fist. With constant judgment. We can't ever step outside the lines. And I was kind of like, you know what? Excuse my French, y'all, if you're listening, but fuck that. Like, I'm done with that. I'm over that. We're not helping ourselves by not talking about these things. We're not helping ourselves by not being our whole human selves. So I kind of threw out this idea of like, it has to look and sound and feel and be a certain way. This is what it is for me.
And you have to live in your truth that way, because people always feel like when you become a parent, it's the end of the world for you. Now the countdown to the end of your life has started. No, man.
Yeah.
No, you have to be whatever kind of parent, like, and you know how kids and young adults have different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be whatever kind of parent that you feel that it needs to be, that you need to be. For the maturation and the betterment of your kid. Like, you can't fit into nobody's mold. Like, everybody wanted to tell me how it was to be a dad, right? And then when my daughter's mom died, everybody wanted to tell me what I needed to do with her. But amazingly enough, she was the one that told me, like, Dad, this is my plan. And she was, when her mom died, 16, 17. He was like, this is my plan for school. This is what I want to do. This is where I want to live. Like, you live out here, you live in the sticks, that's cool, but my school is here. And this is what I want to do. I just need you to trust me. And I said, all right, well, we'll see how it works out. So that line of communication was open. Everybody was like, don't let her do that. Don't let her do that. You need to make her. She already articulated to me what she wanted and what she needed to excel. And I said, I'm going to take it blindly by faith because I trust you because you come from me. And she graduated with honors, and she goes to the little school down in upstate with all the little white kids and whatever. So, and, you know what I'm saying? She's like, I told you, like, just trust me. She told me what she needed, and I provided it to the best of my ability. And boom, it's like, you know what? Mom is gone, but come on, now it's me and you. Now it's me and you. We have to work in conjunction.
Right.
So sometimes you got to listen to these kids.
That is so powerful.
Yeah, it's not like you said, I needed a car, I needed this. This is all I need you to do for me, Dad. And I promise you, I'm going to finish what me and Mom started. And
I love that. I love that. And I love that you said, I trust you, you came from me. Like, that is so powerful, Quan. Especially for young women who are constantly being doubted because of the mere fact that they're women. And then as a Black woman on top of that, like, to have your dad say, I trust you, like, that's powerful. You have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You have a question from Lauren. Lauren said, did any of your daughter's experiences get translated into the character Promise herself?
I think, no, I don't know. I want to say their experiences directly. I think me being her dad and watching and seeing certain things that maybe they don't even know that I see translated, because Promise, I say the only similarities between Promise and my daughters were, it took them a while to find who they were as young women, as young ladies. So, and I think, like, it's not like, we always tell our kids when they leave the house, know Euphoria. And if you watch Euphoria, you know why we say it.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it.
I have not seen Euphoria. Oh my God, you have to start from season 1.
Okay.
Please, like, tonight, you have to start from season 1 because baby girl is getting up to that age where Euphoria is going to help you a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's going to help you a lot. Oh, you think you got crazy in your book? Euphoria.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Yeah. So, like, you know, but the kids know, and thankfully, nothing that I write about reflects in what's going on with their lives, at least that I know of. I would like to think that because of the fact that I'm writing about it and I'm putting it out there, maybe it's a deterrent for them.
No, I like that. Now I will have to go out and watch Euphoria.
You have
There is a question for me.
I'm just trash. I'm not even looking at the chat.
It's okay. I do Zoom a lot, so it's okay.
I don't. I'm like,
Madeline asks, Adiba, on your bio, I read, because inclusion can't wait. Can you talk more about the meaning of this? So yeah, because inclusion can't wait. So if you have not read my book or haven't looked at my bio or know nothing about me, my daughter is disabled. She has bilateral schizencephaly and cerebral palsy, which means that her fine motor, gross motor, and speech is affected. So she uses a wheelchair for mobility and a walker and stander and a communication device. The reason I said inclusion can't wait is because when she was 2 years old, I was looking for a children's book where she could see herself in, because especially little Black children need to see themselves represented in the world around them. With kids, that is how you, in addition to like your family, but that's how you get a sense of value and worth within the world, right? On a global level. If you don't see yourself reflected back to yourself, you wonder, where do I fit here? Where's my place in this world? And so I was looking for children's books for her and I couldn't find anything. There was nothing for little Black girls with disabilities. And so I wrote my children's book. And when I tried to have it traditionally published, I was told by an agent that the subject was too niche, and the subject was inclusion, a little Black girl in a wheelchair just doing all the other things that little girls do. And I was told that the subject was too niche and the world wasn't ready for that kind of book. And I remember I said to her, well, we don't have time to wait for the world to be ready. We're here now. I can't wait until the world is ready for my daughter to see herself. She needs to see it now. She's 2. And so this idea of including her and children like her in the landscape, in the literary landscape, is where Inclusion Can't Wait comes from. But it's not even just disabled kids, it's Black kids, it's brown kids, it's brown and Black disabled children, which you never see in books or on television. I mean, Quan, when's the last time that you saw a Black disabled person on a TV show?
Drake, Wheelchair Jimmy. Honestly.
And he was not authentic. He's not disabled. His character was disabled.
Yeah, no, but yeah. So yeah. But you don't see that. You don't see that. They don't include, wait, what was this show? No. But you're right. They don't. There's 2 actors that come to mind. Daryl Chill Ali, I think is his name. I think he got shot, and that's who ended up. Yeah, he wasn't always disabled.
He wasn't always disabled, but he is still working now as a disabled actor. And Jillian Mercado, she is a Latina actress, and she's on the L Word. And then there is a little disabled girl on Raising Dion, and she is Latina. But that's pretty much it. Our kids with disabilities are not represented in the world. And so I'm slowly trying to change that. And so that's where that comes from, to answer your question, Madeline.
I think you're doing a great job. I think that your book really breaks that down, and then you really touch on a lot of things that people maybe think but are not giving a voice to.
Thank you. You have another question. Quan has a question for Quan. Says, I know you love your daughters, but did you ever wish you had a son?
Yeah, I mean, as a man, we always wish that we have sons, because I am, God forbid, when the lights turn out on everything that's going on here, I'm the last childbearing male of my family name.
Same, last of the name.
Yeah, so I don't have. I mean, my daughters are like, we'll carry the name, and say so. And yeah, of course, I would be lying if I told you that I didn't wish I had a son, but I have what God has provided me with, who has said, you know what, here, you're gonna have 2 daughters. This is me having 2 daughters is my penance. It's my penance. and I'm thankful for it. I'm like, thank you, but it's my penance.
I read that. My girlfriend always says, God gives you the kids you deserve. So.
You came with a word. That is for facts.
God gives you the kids you deserve. So
my kids give me hell.
So Lakeisha has a question for you in relation to Promise Broken.
I'm sorry. Where's Lakeisha? Why does she have to endure rape as well? Why not? It happens. It happens. It's very real. You see, and people are looking at it like, oh, and he raped her and the thing. But look at the steps that led to that. She wanted to be, and let me just put a disclaimer out there. I'm not saying that any woman deserves to be raped. I'm not saying that she did anything to bring that on herself. I'm saying that the company she kept and the circles that she was trying to run in put her in a bad way. Put her in a bad way. So like, and it's like, you gotta tell little girls, you want to chase a little rapper and a little fly guy, like a lot of these motherfuckers are dirt. Dirt. Fucking dirt. And they take naive little girls that have aspirations and are looking for love that they couldn't find in their father. They're fucking dirt, and they take advantage of them. And I wrote that scene so harsh, and I think I actually edited it down when it came back. I wrote it so harsh and so hard because I want you to know Like these motherfuckers, like they don't, and I'm cursing a lot. They don't care. They don't care. You just a new piece of pussy to them as a young girl. A new piece of pussy. They don't care about you. They don't want to be with you. They're not gonna fly you away and take you to no mansion and put you up in no house. They're fucking men. We are a predatory fucking species.
Well, I think it also speaks to this idea of self-love that I talk about in the chapter of the Ferris Wheel of Infidelity. Is we get with these men and we ignore all the red flags. We ignore the pink flags, the orange flags, everything that says, right, we're just looking for love. And so we ignore all the other things and we take the physical and the material things and equate that to love. And so I think it speaks directly to this idea of self-love and what does that mean and how do we acquire that? How do we move towards that? What has to happen in our lives for us to get to that point where we finally love ourselves?
That's a fact. That's a Snapple fact.
Snapple fact.
That's a New York. We know we be a New York Snapple fact.
No, I know. Bree has a question for me. She says, Adiba, you and your daughter are such a source of inspiration. I'm a mother myself with a teen and find the challenges in navigating understanding her world. How do you do it? If you were to ask my kid, Bree, she would say I don't do it well. So, I try to just remember what I was like as a teen and the things that I wanted to do. And there's a lot more that kids today deal with than we dealt with. I mean, we didn't have a pandemic. We didn't have, we had our own endemics depending on where you lived, but we weren't homeschooling. I feel like some of the conversations, well, no, when I was a kid, like there were definitely kids were having the LGBTQ conversations when I was a kid, but it feels a little more free to be able to talk about that nowadays. And so I try to remember what I was like as a kid, but also remember that she's not growing up when I was growing up. And there are different, she needs to be heard and understood more than anything. And so my job is to just sit and listen and try to understand from her point of view and from the world that she's living in, not necessarily my point of view and the world that I grew up in, because they're two very different things. How do you navigate it, or did you navigate it, Quan?
What, as far as like
raising your teen daughters? I raise my kids free. Love who you love, do what you want to do. So they have inclusive groups of trans and LGBT or whatever the case, and they're just very open-minded. And not all the parents, and like the little parent group like that, but for the most part, my kids. So I just always tell them, like, yo, man, listen, if people are good to you and people are nice to you and people care about you, like, love who you love. I don't care. Did you find it challenging understanding your daughter's world that they were growing up in? Like the world of social media and all the pressures that come with that? Well, the social media, yeah, because social media is trash. Social media is driving so many of these kids to dark places. It's trash. But as far as like gender identification, no. I've never had a problem with that, and I'm going to tell you why. When I grew up, my house, living with my mom had a lot of LGBTQ friends and a lot of transgender friends, and her house was the safe place that they could come. So yeah. I grew up around, like, I always tell the story. I had a cousin that I was just thought was just a not attractive woman, or a woman with some racist stuff. Like, and I didn't know it was trans, but my mother always taught me, be kind to people. You treat people how you treat how they treat you. That wasn't, so when the whole boom came, and when I say a boom, it's not like it's something that just happened, but when it was cool to come out, I was okay with it. Like, I'm like, yo, listen, love who you love. Right. Who are you gonna be? Right. So when my kids and because especially amongst the teenagers, it's a thing. It is. It is. It really is. And I feel like within the Black community, we're still learning to.
Yeah, in the Black community, because we don't want to talk about nothing in the Black community. And this is why Uncle Cleavon gets away with touching the nieces and nephews at Thanksgiving, and nobody talks about it. Because in the Black community, we sweep all this shit under the table. But not in the house.
Right.
Not in the house. We put it on the table.
Right.
Discuss any and everything.
Right.
Be open. You have to establish those lines of communication.
You have to. You have to.
That's just real.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a big thing when, like, if my daughter tells me, hey, this is my friend such and such, but they're trans. Oh, shit, you like chicken? You want to come and get something to eat?
Right.
Regular. You know, it's regular. We're we are a very open-minded household.
Right. Right. And there are some shows that are finally embraced, like Black shows that are finally embracing this storyline within the Black community, like The Shy. I don't know if you watch The Shy and P-Valley.
Of course, you know I. Come on, girl, listen. You know I watch The Shy. Why you playing with me like that? You know I watch The Shy. And I thought that was huge, but like for him to take that role with and I'm sorry, and I can't think of his partner's name.
Jasmine?
Well, I think that was it.
I think her name is Jasmine.
So, like, I think that was like, there's an open blue cheese in the refrigerator. You do not have to open a brand new blue cheese.
You gonna do that when you're
Also, I'm sorry. It was just a reflex. So I'm so sorry. That's the ADD. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. We have a question for both of us. It says, how do you handle facing the unknown, especially when it applies to parenting?
I pray.
Yeah.
I pray. That's all I can do.
I
can threaten to kill 1,000 people in the world and blow the whole world up and snap my fingers like Thanos, but it's not going to do nothing. I have to just pray on it and just pray that the trust that I put into my children and to the people around me to do the right thing. It's prayer. I'm sorry. One word is a prayer.
No, for sure. For mine is a little bit different because Emery, my daughter, she relies on me for everything. She's very independent, but she still needs me to help her navigate this world, right? And I'm not going to be here forever. You know, unfortunately, God says I got to go at some point. And so the way I try to handle facing the unknown is trying to prepare the world to be ready for her for when I'm no longer here. So doing the work that I can now on a global scale to make sure that the community that we live in is accessible for her wheelchair. The community knows her, that they have job programs set up for her, that she can, if she decides to go to college, that there's a college program that she can actually go through and get her degree. Making sure that apartments that are within whatever town we live in or whatever town she decides she wants to live in are completely accessible, not just the minimum ADA regulations. And prayer is obviously a part of that because I can't do that on my own. I have to have contact with the right people, walk down the right path. But it's just more so just trying to make sure that she is ready for the world when I'm not here and that the world is ready for her when I'm not here. And that just means that I just keep moving forward in my purpose. As far as like people in the unknown, I can't control any of that. I, like Juan says, I pray that the right people continue to surround us. That's it. That's all
you can do.
That's it. There's another question for the both of us. Let's say your stories hit the big screen. Who would you want to be dream casted as Promise and Emery or any other characters from your novels?
Oh man. You know who I would like to be cast as Promise? What's her name? Journey, someone that?
Joni Smollett.
Yeah.
She, as I was listening to it, I could totally picture her, even down to like the physical description.
Yeah.
For sure. To cast Emery, so I've actually thought a lot about this. To cast, so for me, she would have to be an already disabled actress. Like, we're not doing this, oh, you're able-bodied and I'm going to put you in a wheelchair and now you're disabled for the character. We're not doing that. And because Emery's personality is so unique, like she's just she's a ball of energy. To meet her is to love her. So to play young Emery, I honestly can only see Emery playing Emery because I've never met anyone like this kid. She's got such a fierce sense of humor, but she's also so sassy and funny, and smart, but knows that she's beautiful and is not afraid to tell you. But there is an actress, a disabled Black actress, Lauren Lolo Spencer. She is on The Secret Sex Lives of College Girls. And she is amazing. And if there were scenes where like future Emery grown up, I would want Lauren to play her immediately.
I haven't watched that yet.
It is so good.
I have to go to college, and I think my wife has watched it, and she was like, "You don't want to watch it, baby."
You might not. I mean,
but I need to be informed. So maybe I do need to watch it. Maybe I need to be informed.
It's a great show. It's hilarious. Lauren is a riot on the show. And I actually got to interview her recently. And she is who I think Emery would grow up to be, like that kind of a personality. Just like out there living her best life. They have the same haircut. Like they're so similar. We have another, or any other characters from your novels, like that you would want to see people cast as?
You know what's crazy? Gangster. My wife used to always tell me, I see Nipsey Hussle as Mulo, the main character in Gangster. But he was bad before we could even kind of wrap our around him. But like, that was like, it is just so trashy. Like a lot of people that I want to play characters in my stories are not here anymore.
Oh wow. I think so for me, I've always wanted Danielle Brooks to play me. I love her to death. She Tasty from Orange is the New Black.
Yes, my girl Tasty. Yes.
And like a biopic about my own life, like Viola Davis, the queen, all hail the queen. To play my mom, I've often thought, I think her name was Gina Rivera. She was married to Lawrence Fishburne, or Alfre Woodard. I think would do really good at playing my mom.
Alfre Woodard.
Yeah. And to play Jeff.
Jeff, the old boy from the old, oh yeah.
Yeah. So
you know what? And we didn't even scratch the surface of that part of the story. But go ahead.
So personality-wise, Terence Howard, I could definitely see him playing that role very well.
Yeah.
Terence Howard, also, what's his name? Michael Jai White, I think is his name.
Paula Jai White's brother. Yeah.
Or is his brother? Yeah. He played. Didn't he play like Venom or something?
No, he played the Spawn. He played Spawn.
Yes, Spawn. That guy. I could also see him playing that role.
Okay.
Yeah. And then my best friend, who I make the phone call to when I find out that
was crazy. And I said, yo, listen, we didn't even scratch the surface of the stuff I almost said a dirty word, but the stuff you were talking about in your book, real.
Yeah, infidelity of like the worst kind.
When you said when the kid was like, oh no, they can't get back together because of you.
Yeah, and I was like,
play that back. What? You know when you listening to something and you're doing something else, you're like, wait, what did Shorty say?
Yeah. And I think about that and I'm like, damn, I really gaslit these kids for like a hot minute.
And that's what makes the book so good, because when you put your shit out there, so to speak, when you put it out there, like, you know what, you're gonna get this story and everything that comes with it, and I don't care how you feel.
Yeah. Like I tell, like, judge me. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
They gotta judge you. They gotta judge. Let me tell you something. regardless of what you wrote about, they were gonna relate someone in the book to you. So it's like you beat them to the punch. Like, you know what? I'm gonna give you my arm dirt so you can't use it against me.
That part too. That part too. But it's also just very much like, I know I'm not the only person who has been through some of this stuff. Absolutely not. I know I'm not the only person. So let me just put this out here and find my people.
Yeah.
Folks who've been through some shit.
Who can relate? Who can relate? Oh.
Right. Right. There's another question for us both. What is the message you hope to leave with the storytellers of tomorrow and your children who will read your novels? Ooh.
Should I answer that first or you want to answer first?
You go first.
I want to leave for the storytellers of tomorrow. Just know that I always say this, I am living someone else's dream, which is why I take it so seriously. You have to think about it. There was a time when we would be murdered for learning to read or write, and now we can make money being writers. You have to always take that like that. Like,
yes.
You have to be extra with it. And to like the people, you know, the kid, my kids or whatever, I want them to know that their dad was great. I want them to say, like, my dad was the Thanos of writing. He was unmatched. He was uncompromised. Like, couldn't nobody touch my daddy with that pen from the time he started to the time he passed on. So it's leaving a legacy.
Right. I never thought of it the way you just put it, but you're absolutely right. We used to be killed just for trying to learn how to read and write. And now we get paid to do that. Like, yo.
I ain't had a job since 9/11. So.
That is so real. That is so real. The message I hope to leave with the storytellers of tomorrow is authenticity and vulnerability wins every time. Every time. Like, tell the truth, shame the devil. That's it. That's it. It's gonna be scary. Yeah, people are gonna be upset. But your healing is not, someone else's hurt feelings is not worth more than your own personal healing.
At all.
At all, ever. So you tell the story, you tell your truth, you put it out there and let it be. Someone will find you. But someone who needs you will find you, and vice versa. My kid who will read this novel, I hope that she sees and understands how much I love her, regardless of how we started, because we did not start off great. But I hope that if she ever does read an adapted version of my book, that she reads it and understands that everything I did, every decision I have made has always been with her in mind. She's always been my why. She's always been that guiding light, that North Star, that lightning rod. Like, it's always been her. And I've thought very carefully about the decisions I've made, and they haven't been easy ones. But I've always done them because I love her in a way that I didn't know that I could love another human. Like, it runs deeper than just like, I love my partner. It's deeper than that. And I hope that if she reads this, she gets that.
That was so special just to hear you both now talking about your children and your novels. I've been sitting here the entire time going, whoa. I want to thank you guys both for being here and making this conversation so fun and interesting, and just getting to hear more about your novels, your children, and where you guys are going to be going in the future with your works. You can learn more about the authors and where to purchase their current and future releases by heading to our website at www.blackstonepublishing.com. Thank you guys again for coming, and I can't wait to see you for the next round of Blackstone Book Talks. And thank you, Kwan and Adiba. You guys are the best, and I hope you have a great weekend. All right, I'll see you guys again soon. Take care.
Bye.
Good night, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Blackstone Book Talks with Blackstone Publishing. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest bookish news from Blackstone, you can follow us on Instagram at Blackstone Publishing, on Twitter and Facebook at Blackstone Audio, or on our website at blackstonepublishing.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.